Hi everybody, so I'd like to welcome back Wayne Grimshawe for episode 10 of the Unicorns and Dark Horses podcast, Diverse Leadership Legends. And today we are talking about AI. Can businesses move as fast as customers? So the reason that we're discussing this subject now is because AI, even within the last 3 to 6 months, has the uptake of it has increased dramatically. This is Wayne's second podcast with me. In fact, it might be 3 overall, but second within this series. The reason that I've asked Wayne back is just because of the sheer breadth and depth of your knowledge, Wayne, really. So you've navigated that corporate landscape. So you've got obviously the really effective stakeholder management skills, which are critical for delivering change. But then you've also worked for some much more smaller, agile businesses and had the opportunity to do some really innovative and snazzy stuff, which some of that we'll talk about today. So for the benefit of the people that haven't seen our other podcast, would you mind doing a quick intro, and then I'll introduce myself because I've just realised I've again forgotten to do that. So over to you, Wayne, briefly.
That's because you're so giving, and so you don't obviously like talking about yourself, and there's everyone else. So look to everyone else. I'm Wayne Grimshawe. I'm the current job title Group Director of Customer Care and Shipping at Storio Group. Really a background in customer service from all the way from agent all the way through. Worked with many different businesses, some big like Sky, Barclays, some much smaller, and now working with Storio Group on its complexity on how it delivers a consistent service in photo printing products across 12 different countries across Europe.
Awesome, thank you, and you're also very kind. So my name is Hannah Cox. I'm the founder and managing director at Gallup Executive. We're a premium quality executive search firm specialising in business transformation across digital operations and marketing. So we'll dive straight in with the first question then, Wayne. So, as I've just said, AI has progressed at an incredible pace over the last 2 years and has escalated immensely in service, particularly in the past 3 to 6 months alone. Have customer expectations moved even faster than businesses can realistically keep up with? And what do you think are the reasons for this quick pace of adoption?
So firstly, the answer in a simple terms is yes. In more broader terms, it's about customers believe that now stitching data together for businesses is easier than ever. I told you this last week. You should know this. Now I'm contacting now. I was on your website last week and I put something in my basket. You should know that also. So you should know every interaction I've had with you, whether it's with a human or whether it's me just browsing your website, or whether it's any form of where I've logged in and given you some credentials, you should know. So their belief, and if you don't know that, they believe you're almost backward and you're not able to keep pace. That's an expectation nowadays. And you should be able to do that in a secure, private, safe way, and it shouldn't need me to worry about that. Simple things. If I've logged in on my app, you should know, and I shouldn't have to pre-authenticate myself when I get to your customer service or your customer operations. So there's a lot where we feel from customers, you should. And I think that's the basis of being able to do AI. So if you're not doing AI, you clearly have to build those foundations. If you're building those foundations now, you're then behind the curve on what they expect in some sort of immediacy of service. Expectation that you have some form of out of hours direct help used to be okay with a help center. That's no, I don't want to read articles. I don't want to read through that. I want to be able to digest that. Subsequently, if you're not doing it, I'll find someone who will. It would be a ChatGPT, a Gemini, a large language model, that an LLM that actually can then surface all the information for me. And that's where it becomes slightly murky in the new world, because I think the advent of AI in the last 3 to 6 months is about those large language models superseding your websites. So we already saw that when you can book a table for a restaurant from Google. eventually Google will be able to work your website. And if you don't provide a good customer experience on your website, they won't have a brand experience with you. It'll be serviced through an LLM, and an LLM will do all the work and enable customer to buy or do anything outside of your website. So yeah, I think that's where we're on the cusp of. We need to do something to retain that direct relationship with customers.
It's interesting. I mean, we've had this conversation before, but I'll ask the question just for the benefit of the people that are listening, really. So, do age demographics have anything to do with, that requirement, really, for you to innovate within that AI space?
I think confidence in not speaking to humans always actually is better with younger people because they're more naturally predisposed that way. However, I've been a big advocate of not channels of choice, but channels of trust. So I see a lot of the older demographic who've used these kind of chat services, and if they've worked for them, they've built trust with it, they've been very, very quick and able adopters. So I think we need to move more and more. That's the interesting thing, though, is a customer will have a channel preference that's unique to your relationship with them. So they might use an AI service with someone else, but they don't trust your organization with an AI service, so they phone you. So understanding what's their channel of trust with you is important. If you continue to service that channel of trust, they may still use it, but you may still be going backwards in their estimation of you as an organization because they're using more advanced services with other people. So yes, if your normal customer base is a more older, more mature demographic, naturally, then you're more going to have predisposed channels of trust. That doesn't mean that they're not expecting frictionless service. So the minute that you put any friction in there, because your data is not connected, they're still going to have similar frustrations, if not more so, because you're going to be calling out their lack of technical adoption. So AI is not all about just chatbots nowadays. It's about how you can make the service frictionless, reduce the level of effort on a customer's part, and increase the consistency of outcomes.
And you said something really interesting as well that that I picked up on that I've not really thought about too much, but actually I've been doing it myself within the last kind of 15 minutes, where I've been working on HubSpot, but then also I've had my chat GPT open at the same time, and I've been using the AI on both. Is this similar to the olden days when web chat was first born, and customers had, they would have two channels? Like I said, they'd be sitting on the phone and they'd also have a web chat open at the same time.
I think we've seen this all before, right? We go all the way back. Do you remember you used to have different telephone numbers for different departments? And then they brought in the call center, right? And people didn't trust that the call center could handle it because I used to get straight to the expert. Now I've got these people in the way. And then we had it with IVR push button phones or telephone banking and all those other things. So then the advent of the internet. Totally, right? Even just shopping on the internet. So we've seen this story many, many times, and we always go to the point, obviously the older can't cope with it. My dad now does Ocado shopping, not for himself, but for everyone else in the street, and then charges a premium and takes a little bit of money, makes a little bit of money out of it. So, so there are people that once they do it and can adopt it and can repeat it and realize it's frictionless, they will continue to do it. So I don't think it's beyond people. It's just about their level of exposure. If you can be the first to help them to do it in an easy, frictionless way, you'll have their custom forever. So I see it as more as an opportunity rather than an issue in terms of how customers behave. Customers want frictionless service. It's just their perception that by changing a channel, it's going to cause me more hassle, more time to learn, more time to think, I can't, I've always done it this way and I'm going to do it this way because it's easier for me. The invention of AI means actually that might not be true.
So, and it's interesting, isn't it? I don't want to take us off the road too much, because we've got a few questions to get through today. But it seems to me then that it's not AI that is the barrier as such. It's the ability to be able to go through a change cycle, because we have been here before, and it's the same cycle. It's just a different intricacies within that transformation, isn't it?
Customer service and customer experience are the early adopters of AI, right? Because it was obvious how it was going to play a role in terms of assimilating information and passing that on to customers. And that was seen naturally through large language models like ChatGPT. The really AI is not about just customer experience and customer service. It's the future of work. The future of the way we work is AI, and it's no different to when we had typing pools and we went back, and then we manual post, and we moved to email, and we moved to all of the other Microsoft applications. It's exactly the same. So the minute we start to accept it as the future of work, and you're turning, and we talk about it in our place as turning from being the trumpet player to the conductor. I don't need trumpet players, I need conductors. So I need people who can orchestrate the thinking to enable AI to be the doing. And we talk about AI as being almost like a really, really intelligent intern in your business. It's got no context. It's got no understanding of the way your business works, but it can quickly absorb information, repeat information, and find links between information. And that's what an intern would do with you all over a summer, is really, really help you in that. So you still have to manage them. You still have to make them work for you. And this is important as to whether or not it's, I don't know, stitching two spreadsheets together and doing some early analysis for you, or it's talking to a customer and simulating some of your knowledge base in a different way and helping a customer through that conversation. It's just the future of work. And so what we need is, we've gone, roles have changed. Yeah, everyone talks about diminishment of roles. Yes, there's some frontline roles that will go, but broadly in my customer operations team, we haven't lost any significant management roles. They've just changed. So our knowledge manager has become our AI journey manager. Our process manager has become actually our integrations and data architect. And yes, okay, some people haven't been able to step into those roles organically for themselves, but actually it's changing the nature and therefore becoming the future of work.
It's a really interesting viewpoint. I can actually play the trumpet, by the way.
I was really early in recorder club, and then I quit that straight away.
I bet you can't play the triangle.
I bet I can't.
Anyway, right. So Storio Group was investing in AI for customer service before it became widely mainstream. I mean, I remember some of the conversations that we were having 3-4 years ago. Absolutely lost my words. Absolutely fascinating. But what convinced you that this wasn't just another technology trend?
It provided access when we couldn't get to customers more readily. So those that don't understand, Storio Group is all about personalized photo printing. People and photos, interestingly, has a number of photos we've taken as a global around the world, hasn't declined any single year since the 1970s. So we've always, every year, increased the number of photos we've taken.
Yeah.
So what's getting harder is people to augment those photos, choose those photos, and create those into a product. Also, when they're doing that is when they've got real time to unwind, which most time people go through their photos is a Sunday evening, around about 8 till 10 in the evening. We found that's the same all across Europe when people start looking at our website. There's no way humans can be there. Also, it's very complex, and we can have everyone looking at our website, from someone who knows a lot about photos, so photographers making wedding books through us and then selling those on, or just someone trying to make some kind of gift for their partner or loved one for an important moment in their year. So we can't be there. But these people want these photo books to feel personalized, like they owned it, like they created it all for themselves. So AI offered some really great opportunity for us to help people at that time in need when we couldn't put a human physically in place. So that's where it actually started. It didn't start out of a cost saving initiative. It started out of a customer experience benefit that we thought we could drive. Out of that, then, that all the thinking was all about Sunday evenings. So we made it exactly that, is how's that going to be easier on a Sunday evening? How's that going to be easier at that moment in time when no one's around? How's that going to make that life easier? And it really helped people. And then we've just applied all of those learnings to every day, everything we do. The second thing is that was customer facing, what we started with. But then photos are quite emotional. So we've then used AI to say, how do we help humans to connect to humans and take technology out of the way? We make the technology seamless and frictionless, not only for customers, but for our own individual people, so we can maximize that human to human contact. And that's where a lot of other AI capabilities that we start to bring in start to work and come into play.
It's so interesting. So, I mean, so you obviously used AI within your product itself. You know, how your product is built. So do you think that kind of that you were almost like forced in a way to adopt AI ahead of the curve because of that, essentially?
Yeah, I think it's very competitive, and the photo printing market people see as just actually, I can buy it in Boots, so why can't you do it? And Boots will turn it around immediately, so why can't you get it there quickly? And when they come to you with their photos, if you perceive either their photos aren't the right quality or aren't in the right order, they believe you're putting the hassle onto them, not it's their fault. They won't see it as their responsibility to manage their own photos. So the first advent of AI that the whole company did was to take those photos, automatically create a photo book as a starting point for them, tell them which photos were of good quality, and then by date order or some other data capabilities that we have within the understanding of the photos, create a photo book that they can start and work from. That was the first ever advent of AI in our whole business. Then it became about actually, how do we continue that dialogue with the customer to help them to either move those photos, add extra pages, move it on, so that that whole creation process becomes so much easier and it's much quicker from idea to execution in terms of them having a book in their lap that they perfectly created, and that they can create it the same as what they're seeing on Instagram or they're seeing anyone else create. How can I create that? Because otherwise they see something great on Instagram, but they can't create it. They'll see it as our fault that we create that friction in their service. So yeah, I think it's easy to jump on the AI bandwagon, but have a use case, have a customer problem that you're trying to solve, and then start and work back from that. And then AI is just the future of the way you go about solving that customer problem.
So you used it really to gain a competitive edge, didn't you? To
Yes.
provide something above and beyond retailers and businesses that were doing other things. Okay, cool. So I love the answer to this one. Can you share an example where AI has genuinely transformed, or I hope that you're going to say what I think you're going to say. Can you share an example where AI has genuinely transformed the customer experience rather than simply reducing costs?
Well, I think first off, I've already said where we started around those Sunday evenings. I think the second thing for us is how AI has actually enabled dialogue and conversation across countries and cross sharing. So we're using AI in translation, direct translation, to provide more scalability of our service. So, for example, if we haven't got enough of our agents free in Spain, we can use our agents, our French agents, to then have a dialogue with customers to transform and be there for them. The second piece is we're using it to automatically and proactively identify where we can help and support customers. So our data is really quite varied and across multiple areas, but we're using AI to augment that data to understand how we can proactively help customers. So if a customer's bounced between pages or is trying to add certain things to their book and then takes it in, take it out, or they're getting stuck in a checkout and they've input a voucher code 3 times wrong, we're picking up all those failure points and using AI to go straight in proactively to say, looks like you're having trouble. Do you want some help? So it's not necessarily waiting for the customer, it's proactively transforming our website. So it's the best service is no service required. And I think that's the major motto that we started to talk about. It used to be that it's friction if I don't phone a number and get straight through to someone. Then it's now phoning a number is seen as a hassle by the majority of people. So how you're constantly removing those hassles. I can talk for a long time about the number of other AI advents that we've done in our organization, but I think, yeah, proactivity and stitching data together in the background, which is what we're doing to provide an augmentation layer where we can proactively drive service and proactively help customers, is the number one. The last thing that's really interesting that we're starting to do now is also use pictures the other way to try and obviously provide service. So if a customer's got damage on their item, they upload a picture, we use AI to read the picture, see whether it's truly damaged. And if it's truly damaged, we just automatically replace. They don't go through to an agent, don't go through to anyone. The picture's stored in the case, they identify it, bang, we'll make it again and give the tracking link there and then. So that's exactly what people want. They want that responsiveness and that speed, and none of that is done to reduce headcount. All of that's done to improve the customer experience.
That's really clever. You didn't actually cover the bit that I was expecting. I'm just checking it's not to come later on. What about that piece that you did a few years back where you piloted putting AI within the customer journey for basic tech support and the impacts that had on NPS?
Oh, look, we've been talking for a long time, so there's no secret that when I started out on this journey and I started with Storio Group, our overall group NPS was about sort of between 10 and 15. We've actually turned it to now as plus 60. And exactly that, it's about that customer journey and providing contextual help. So what we automatically have AI is throughout that customer journey, wherever the proactive element, which I've said, will be there. Where there's a reactive element, we have all the contextual data, and we started this really, really early to understand where where they've contacted us from, what point in the journey they're from. Like I said earlier, what relationship they have with us, so we can provide contextual help at that point. AI is really, really poor on the customer experience when you don't have it to have context, and then it just looks like you are trying to reduce headcount. Context and data through that journey. So we've deployed it in the editor whereby they're creating their order, and then it behaves differently in the checkout when they're trying to obviously move that. It's a very, very different experience there, and obviously at the end of the journey when they've got post-order queries. The piece that then transforms it for me is giving it personality. So our bot is called Clara. Our first advent of our bot 2 years ago was called Phoebe. We start to call it a name and therefore treat it in that way, and the way we train and coach and mentor. So Phoebe as a manager, and Phoebe as a coach, and Phoebe has some knowledge where they go to. So yeah, I think providing that contextual help through the journey has been the number 1 key to transform that experience.
It's really interesting. I mean, you probably don't know the answer to this, but how many times through the customer journey can AI potentially intervene, or because it's kind of proactive and it's almost kind of assessing itself, could that number be quite limitless?
So I don't know what it is for each organization. What we started to do, because we're an e-commerce company, I think you can do the same with billing and everything. I did it with billing companies. So we started to, before we did anything, is look at what percentage of our orders go through the system without it needing any manual touch, any contact, any support, and the customer's happy with it, and they're predisposed to buy again. When we first did that analysis, and I call it like throughput, when first that analysis, it was about, and it wouldn't, 38%. So only 38% of our orders went through not needing any manual effort, not needing any dropout. And then we looked at within there, where are the opportunities to either use AI to provide more control, because you can provide more operational grip, a better experience to lift the customer from unhappy path onto happy path, or fundamentally insight opportunity to influence future behavior. So then measuring that drop off, and then measuring, understanding how we can do that, and then constantly promoting that AI wasn't a way of doing that. So you could do it with humans, you could do it with process, you could do it with data, or you could do it with AI. And I think that was the earliest adoption in the company of actually thinking about that it was an option. And I think that was really, really interesting. It'd be an interesting studies to think about, yeah, how many of your pieces of work I did it in billing once, right? How many bills go through and it's exactly right and the customer's happy with it and pays the bill. It's an interesting piece of study to go how that goes through your customer journey, because you've got the business processes attached to that customer journey.
I remember it was nearly 3 years ago when we sat down, and you told me about a part within your journey where a customer could interact with AI and get a really kind of basic technical issue sorted. And once that had happened and the customer had built their product and they were happy, it actually increased NPS because the customer felt happier that they didn't have to actually get a human in the loop, because they felt as if they kind of solved their own problem. So there was kind of that sense of satisfaction that the customer had.
And that's what I was alluding to earlier. Yeah, we'll be more and say it is actually our customers don't want to contact us. They want to feel that this personalized product was made by them. They did it all specially. So when most of what we do is gifting or family presentations or anything, they want to feel that it's all theirs. 100% their ownership with their photos, and look what I made. Look what I did. So yeah, getting help or getting someone to actually intervene, they felt like they were failing a little bit. So actually with the customer insight was actually the more they used AI to support them, the more they still felt it was their own, more they still felt that sense of ownership over that product. I mean, that came through in a lot of our customer insights. So yeah, what we're finding is actually their accountability, and maybe that we're unique or anything, but the accountability for, I found that product, I created that product, I did everything to the end, I got it in my hands, and now I'm giving it to you, really rose the more that they didn't contact us. And yeah, the use of AI didn't erode that feeling of their sense of own achievement.
Magic. I mean, that's just a magic example, isn't it, really, of where AI has really elevated the customer experience. Which customer interaction should never be handed over to AI, regardless of how advanced the technology becomes?
My experience, and other salespeople and technology people would argue against us, is that AI cannot absorb emotion very, very well, and it grabs for other context. So any time whereby empathy, true empathy, is needed, absolutely AI cannot play a role. And I don't believe it can. Having come all my way from handling on the front line of complaints, I don't believe that there'll be a time in which AI can truly empathize and relationship build with better than human to human. So you have to ask yourself is, what is the purpose of this conversation? In the eyes of the customer, we all think, and we had this ethereal moment, I think 10, 15 years ago, is that, oh, customer service can do this amazing thing because they can build a relationship and turn an unhappy customer into a retaining customer. But we thought that was true for every contact. And I don't think it is. I think it's only for the contacts where empathy is truly needed. Otherwise, I think it's about get it right first time, frictionless, do what you say you're going to do, and there will be a minor indiscretion in my day. So split out your contacts between what things should be a minor indiscretion for customers, almost forgettable, and they should be able to get on with their day. Where is it they truly want and are seeking empathy? And it's those contacts, I think, always we should need human contact. And if we don't, I think there's something societally wrong with that. We are humans, and we're not lone wolves, right? We build families, we build communities, we build those kind of environments, and I think we'll always continue to do that regardless of the journey of AI.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's like intuitively, as humans, we can determine whether an image is AI or whether it isn't AI. And there's no kind of specific scientific rhyme or reason for it. It is largely intuitive how we can kind of, assess and screen, I guess, that body language and the image. It's really interesting.
It's the same as whether we get a feeling for someone's telling the truth or lying. Yeah, no, we do have this, or someone's being genuine or someone's being fake, or I think we have this, and I think AI is being,
Yeah.
we're using the same capabilities, innate capabilities in ourselves to go, that's not real. Now, okay, sometimes we're going to get it right, sometimes get it wrong, but largely, as much as AI is going to develop themselves, we've developed ourselves to have a better, sharper instinct. Yeah, we may say that, okay, I might get the odd one wrong, but 99% of the time, I'm pretty right. So I think that I don't think that's going to die, and I think that's the kind of skills we're using. We're heightening them now to spot whether or not is this real, is this on deep fakes, those kind of things. But I don't believe that's ever going to die, and I think people still want to build relationships with people they trust. Um, and trust is going to be a major important word in the future, whether that's be um, in relationships that we do, in relationships with organizations. How do you continue to build that trust? And if it's an empathy related scenario, then I do believe that humans are going to be important. For ourselves, if it's involving, we have a lot of contacts involving funerals or births, or when products get mixed up, and there is the worst case scenario for us is when one of our products gets sent to another customer, a mix up, because the emotion involved in that, and they don't care about what they've received, they care about where their photos have gone. We're never going to do that through AI. You need to show that you actually care and that actually you understand how important that is to a customer. No words are going to solve that, or no way that's going to solve through AI. We even think with the language translation stuff I was talking about earlier, we try and take those contexts away from any language translation. So we have people who understand people in context and language. I don't see that ever going from the human world. Or I hope it doesn't. I hope it never goes.
Okay, so if you were advising a CEO today, what's the one AI investment or decision you'd tell them they must prioritise?
I would say that AI being part of your HR strategy, it is a HR strategy, not a tech strategy, because it's the future of work. So I would say that fundamentally how you bed that into your everyday work, I think, is how you would then, I would say, the most important thing. In terms of prioritization, it's anything that enables your teams to operate AI in a safe way. Now, I know that customer experience and customer service have gone first because it was perceived that we can just take this knowledge that we're already spitting out to customers and assimilate in a safe way back to customers. That's technically safe. What's not safe is assimilating all the other business data we've got, with our finance data and with everything else. So I think find ways for people to feel comfortable to use AI, make it the future of work in a safe way that encourages then that creativity, that flow, those ideas to come out, because no CEO is going to have all the ideas of how AI can be applied in their business, but they want to create that flair and that individuality and that curiosity within their business to try and find safe ways that you can generate that momentum.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining me again, Wayne.
Thank you, Hannah, and thanks for listening.